You know what most people don't want to admit? That laziness isn't who they are. It's what they've been rehearsing. Every time you say, I'll do it later, every time you hit that snooze button, every time you convince yourself that tomorrow will be the day you start, you're practicing the art of procrastination. You're strengthening that muscle of hesitation. But here's the truth. You're not lazy. You're conditioned. You've built a pattern that rewards comfort and punishes effort. Most people walk around saying, I'm just not motivated, or I guess I'm lazy. That's a lie. You're not lazy. You're uninspired. You're not lazy. You're disconnected from your drive, your hunger, that fire that used to burn when you believed you could be more. Somewhere along the way, you stopped believing that what you do matters. And when your mind stops believing your actions matter, it begins to protect you through avoidance. That's all laziness really is, a form of protection. It's your brain saying, if I don't try, I can't fail. If I don't move, I can't be disappointed, Nick. But that protection is killing your potential. It's like sitting in a car with the engine running, but never shifting into gear. You're burning fuel, wasting energy, and going nowhere. You can't call that rest. That slows self-destruction. The truth is, the moment you face your own patterns honestly, you start taking your power back. You can't fix what you refuse to face. The reason most people never change is because they build excuses that sound like facts. They say, that's just how I am. No, that's how you've been. You've been repeating the same thoughts, the same actions, the same self-talk so long that you've started calling it your identity. You've told yourself the story of your limitations so many times that it's become your truth. But the beautiful thing about stories is that you can change them. You can rewrite the narrative. You can interrupt that pattern in a single moment of decision. That's how fast transformation happens. Not gradually, instantly. The second you decide that this version of yourself is no longer acceptable, your life begins to shift. So let's be real. What's really keeping you stuck? It's not laziness. It's not lack of talent. It's not lack of opportunity. It's the story you keep telling yourself about why you can't do it. And as long as that story stays alive, your potential stays buried. Every breakthrough begins with brutal honesty. Until you stop lying to yourself about your effort, your excuses will always win. If I were to follow you around for 1 week, I'd know everything about your results by watching your rituals. I'd see when you wake up, what you eat, what you say to yourself when no one's around, what you do with your free time. Because success leaves clues, and so does mediocrity. You can't call yourself lazy when you're actively choosing comfort over growth. That's not laziness, that's a decision. And the beauty of decisions is that they can be made differently starting right now. You see, when you take responsibility, everything changes. Responsibility isn't about guilt, it's about power. The moment you say, this is on me, you stop waiting for motivation to arrive. You stop waiting for someone to inspire you. You stop waiting for circumstances to be right. You realize that you've always had the control, you just weren't using it. Most people don't realize how addicted they are to comfort. You've been trained to chase convenience, everything fast, easy, instant. You can order food without leaving the couch. You can be entertained without moving. You can escape reality with one swipe. But every time you choose comfort, you trade a piece of your potential. Every time you give in to the easy path, you're telling your subconscious that you're okay with less than your best. And that's the real danger, not that you're lazy, but that you've become comfortable being average. The mind adapts to whatever standard you accept. Raise the standard and your behavior rises with it. Lower it and everything falls. So if you want to kill laziness, you don't start with motivation. You start with raising your standards. Decide what you will no longer tolerate from yourself. Draw a line in the sand and say, I'm done being comfortable with excuses. You might be thinking, Tony, that sounds great, but I've tried before. Listen to me. Effort without identity never lasts. You can't just try to act motivated for a few days while still believing deep down that you're lazy. You'll always return to who you think you are. That's why identity is everything. If you see yourself as lazy, your brain will constantly find ways to prove you right. It'll look for shortcuts. It'll rationalize delay. It'll sabotage your effort to stay consistent with your identity. But when you decide, truly decide, that you are a disciplined person, that you are in control, that you are someone who executes, your actions will align with that belief. Change doesn't start with what you do. It starts with who you believe you are. You must shift your identity from I'm lazy to I'm driven, I'm focused, I'm in charge. And you reaffirm it with every action, not massive, perfect actions, but consistent ones. Every time you take action when you don't feel like it, you're telling your brain, this is who I am now. I remember working with people who told me they'd tried everything, books, courses, motivation, and nothing stuck. And I asked them, when did you decide that this is just who you are? Because that's what keeps you trapped. You think you're fighting laziness, but you're actually defending your limitations. You've built a home inside your excuses, decorated it with your doubts, and now you're wondering why you can't move forward. You have to burn that home down. You have to become allergic to your own excuses. You have to stop giving them oxygen. Every time you hear that voice saying, I'll do it later, you answer with, no, I do it now. Every time your mind says, I'm too tired, you say, I'll rest after I win. Every time it says, it doesn't matter, you say, it matters because I matter. That's how you retrain your brain. Laziness dies when discipline is born. And discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about doing what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. People always say, I need motivation. No, you need standards. Motivation comes and goes. Standards create habits and habits create results. When you raise your standards high enough, laziness can't survive in that environment. If you want to know the fastest way to destroy laziness, change what you associate pain and pleasure with. Most people link pleasure to relaxation and pain to effort. You have to reverse that. Find pleasure in progress, in momentum, in showing up when you didn't feel like it, and find pain in staying stuck, in wasting potential, in knowing you could be more, but you're choosing not to be. When you emotionally condition yourself this way, you stop needing motivation, you start running on purpose. Think about this. When a lion wakes up, it doesn't need to remind itself it's a lion. It just hunts. That's identity. When you fully embody who you are meant to be, you won't have to push yourself. You'll be pulled by purpose. That's why facing the truth is so powerful, because truth destroys illusions. Truth sets you free. The truth is you're capable of so much more than you've been giving. The truth is your potential is screaming for you to stop treating it like an option. The truth is you've been negotiating with your greatness. And every time you settle, you betray your own potential. You want to kill laziness. Stop arguing for your limitations. Stop saying, I can't. Stop saying, I'll start when I'm ready. You'll never feel ready. You'll never have the perfect moment. Success begins the second you stop waiting and start acting. Right now, this very moment, you can choose to shift. You can choose to take control. You can choose to do one thing differently today. Not 10 things, one thing. Because change doesn't come from a revolution. It comes from a single decision repeated consistently. So what if you failed before? So what if you've quit before? That was the old you. That was the version of you that didn't know what you know now. That was the version of you living in reaction instead of intention. But now you've got awareness, and awareness is the beginning of power. From this point on, don't call yourself lazy ever again. Replace that word with learning. You're not lazy. You're learning to take back control. You're learning to master your mind. You're learning to rise when it's hard. That's the process of becoming unstoppable. I've seen people go from rock bottom to unstoppable because they made one decision to stop negotiating with their dreams. They looked in the mirror and said, no more excuses. No more comfort, no more waiting. And when they did that, something inside of them woke up. It's the same thing that's inside you right now, that hunger, that drive, that fire that says, I'm done living below my potential. So stop labeling yourself. Stop hiding behind the word lazy. You are powerful beyond measure. You have everything you need to change your life. The only thing standing in the way is the story you tell yourself about who you are. And when you change that story, when you decide that your standards are higher, your time is valuable, and your potential is sacred, everything begins to move. You're not lazy. You're just unchallenged. You're not tired. You're uninspired. You're not stuck. You're comfortable. And comfort is the enemy of growth. So break the pattern. Take one action today that proves you're in control, and then do it again tomorrow and again the next day. Before long, laziness won't even recognize you, because the real you, the one beneath the hesitation, beneath the doubt, is already disciplined, already powerful, already capable. You just have to wake that version up. The only way to kill laziness is to stop calling it who you are and start treating it like what it is, a habit. And habits can be broken.